Well, up next, Cody Johns is one of the first and one of the most popular internet stars in the world. He began his career making videos on Vine, and within a few short years, Cody gained millions of fans, and now he's focusing on his music career, and he has a new single, and he's joining us right now. Good morning, Cody.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. We're so happy you're here, bright and early. I'm amazed that you woke up and super impressed.
I've never been up this early in my life, but here I am. It's great to be here.
So you have a brand new single out that you're going to perform for us later, and it's called Tropical Romance. So did you fall in love in the Caribbean? How did this song come up?
Well, I mean, I fell in love in Florida, which is where I'm from, which is kind of near the Caribbean. But the song came about, I was just kind of writing it with a couple buddies, and we were just playing a few chords, and just how we were playing it and the chord progression just kind of reminded me of like a tropical environment and like sort of like when you go on vacation. So that's what kind of inspired the song.
And you wrote it about your wife?
Yeah, she's always the inspiration for these love songs. So yeah, it's kind of about her. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to say. She paid me to say it. Just kidding. No,
it's she's amazing. Yeah, she's on social media too.
Yeah, she is. Alexis Gabrielle. So she's a great wife and business partner.
So what do you think we can expect? What artist would you compare your sound to?
Oh man, there's definitely a lot of artists that I get inspiration from and look up to. I would say Justin Timberlake is for sure one of them. As far as like stage presence, I've always loved Michael Buble and like how he's just such a great performer. And then just some kind of like acts from, you know, sort of like back in the day, like the Bee Gees, the Beach Boys, you know, these kind of groups with sort of the higher registered vocals, because I sing a little bit on the high side, so I kind of got inspired by some of those guys.
Look at you with the throwbacks. I dig that.
Yeah, I love it. So I feel like I'm kind of an old soul sometimes, so I think I get that from the music.
And so Vine, YouTube, Instagram, there was actually a national survey that was done, and kids' #1 dream job is to be a YouTuber nowadays, and that wasn't a thing when we were growing up. You're living a lot of people's dreams. How did the first Vine come up?
I mean, it's so funny how like this is now a very legitimate career, and like when we kind of started doing it, it was kind of just, it was almost like an accident. Like we were doing it for fun because we enjoyed doing it. I would say one of the first videos that really kind of popped off that was really funny is like a friend of mine was sleeping near the pool at this house we were staying at the time, and we just dumped a ton of water on him from the second story of the house. And he woke up and he was like really frustrated, and we caught it all on a video, and people seemed to really love and resonate with that. So that was probably one of the first big ones, I'd say.
Now, I've known you for a few years, and there's this great quote by Bill Murray, who's a Chicagoan, and he said, the first few years you're famous, you can't help but be a donkey's, you know what. So you've totally managed to escape that. You're a hard worker, you're a good guy. How did you escape that?
Honestly, it's probably a combination of a few things. My parents, who are actually here in studio right now, it's amazing to have them all the way from Florida for this experience. But they just raised me right. They raised me to be just respectful and just kind of compassionate. And I just also think a lot of it has to do with the fact that my successes came a little bit later in my life. I had time to mature. I had already graduated high school and college. So I just had a lot of life experience growing up as a young adult while going into this kind of new industry. So that's probably a combination of a few things, but that's probably why.
And the new industry, the goal was always music at the very end?
Music has always been a passion, and you know, it just wasn't the right time, you know? I was kind of getting my career together, I was growing, and now I just feel like as of 10 months ago when I first went in the studio and said, you know what, I want to make original stuff. I'd always been producing for myself, but it was finally time for me to be like, you know what, I want to go forward and go with some original music. I really feel like I'm a guy of all trades, and that's why I really respect those entertainers who've been super well-rounded, like the guys who can go out and act, who can sing, who can go out and host a show. Those are the guys I really look up to, like the all-around entertainers, the Dick Van Dykes and stuff like that. So that's why I aspire to be like someone like Justin Timberlake, like a guy who can go in there, sing, who can also go in and do a film. And I like to be as multi-dimensional as I can, I guess.
Well, Cody, you're sticking around because you're going to perform for us later in the show, and you're joining our jam session, which I'm excited for. So stick around, and we will be right back after the break.